Do you have $10,000 or more in credit card debt? Maybe you're even barely getting by making minimum payments. With credit card debt hitting record highs, National Debt Relief offers real debt relief solutions for people struggling to keep up. These options may reduce a large portion of credit card debt for those who qualify. You don't need to declare bankruptcy, and you may be able to pay back less than you owe, regardless of your credit. National Debt Relief has already reduced the credit card debt for more than 550,000 consumers. So don't wait. If you owe 10, 20, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in credit card debt, you can now take advantage of this financial debt relief as the cost of living increases. To find out how much you could save, visit nationaldebtrelief.com. That's nationaldebtrelief.com.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Primal Potential Podcast. I am Elizabeth Benton. Are you feeling that new month energy? Or are you feeling frustrated that it's March of 2026 and it doesn't look as different as you thought it would look? Okay, I want to help with that today. And I want to ask you first, if you have ever wanted 5 more minutes so badly that you would trade your entire morning for it. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, you're not a snooze button person. But if you are a snooze button person or have ever been, or that's a struggle for you, 5 more minutes, 5 more minutes. Have you ever wanted those 5 more minutes so badly that you would trade your morning for it? Because that's kind of what the snooze button does. It feels like 5 minutes. And in the moment, it feels like it's so worth it and it's so good. And in hindsight, you're like, is it? Kind of broken semi-sleep combined with pressure or anticipated disappointment, the stress of I should get up, but I don't really want to. It's not 5 glorious minutes of sleep like maybe you pretend it is. And in a lot of cases, it does. It costs you the morning. But what's bananas is that in the moment, in just a brief few seconds, your brain makes that trade feel like a no-brainer. It inflates the reward while it shrinks the consequence. And that is not just about the snooze button. In seconds, your brain inflates the reward and shrinks the consequence. And it makes now feel huge and later feel real inconsequential. That happens when we scroll. It happens when we skip a workout. It happens when we snap at our spouse or our kids, or we say like, I'm just going to do it tomorrow. It's no big deal. I'm just going to eat this thing. It's no big deal. They're here. The immediate choice feels like a relief, feels like a reward. And the later cost feels like no big deal. And that's not real. It's not true. But your brain is distorting the size of the reward and also distorting the size of the consequence just in different ways, right? In your mind, the reward is big and the consequence is small. And today what I want to do is I want to help you correct that distortion. Okay? We need to correct this distortion because here's the deal. If we do not correct this distortion, then we're operating with a distorted viewpoint that makes it very hard to win. With that distortion, willpower hardly stands a chance. And your commitment and your plan, it hardly stands a chance. So what we have to do, we have to address the distortion. Now, before we get too far into this, I want to say we are underway with our March 4-week Defense Foundations program. It is a new version of the 8-week program so that we could do it in a smaller time container. Let's get you in and let's get you everything you need in 4 weeks instead of 8 weeks and at a fraction of the price because a lot of you guys said for whatever reason, money's tight right now. I know that's not true for everybody, but it seems to be for a lot of people. And I get it. Things have never been more expensive. I get it. So I wanted to put on your radar, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to do the 4-week version. I wasn't sure if it was going to be a one-time thing, but I'm already loving the energy and the momentum of people feeling like 4 weeks is really doable and the price point is really doable. So we're going to do it again in April. And I don't know about after that. I thought March might just be it. Now, who knows if we'll do it again after April, but we are going to do another 4-week Defense Foundations cohort in April. And I want to do scholarships again. Because for 2 reasons. Number one, it helps me get to know you ahead of time. Even if you don't end up being eligible or granted a scholarship, it gives me an opportunity to get to know you, and I will respond. I will connect with you. You will get a voice note back from me. But also, I think a lot of people just need a little bit of extra support right now. And I want to be able to do that and support you in that way, because I know that this defensive approach is different and it matters. And I know how much it sucks to stay in this struggle for years or even decades. And I don't want to end 2026 or even the first half of 2026 with you still in the struggle. So today we're talking about this distortion of time that we have to address. And if you want to do the scholarship for April, and the sooner you do it, the more likely you are to get a scholarship, because they'll just, when they're gone, right? So I'll put that link in the show description. I forgot that had a finishing thought there. Okay. So in your mind, your brain is distorting the size of the reward and the size of the consequence. When you open the pantry at night, your brain is distorting the size of the reward and distorting the size of the consequence, right? When you go out to dinner and you said you weren't going to drink, in that moment, your brain is distorting the size of the reward of that alcohol and also distorting the size of the consequence, just in opposite directions. So we have to correct that distortion, or else willpower hardly stands a chance. All right. So let's stay with the snooze button example for a second. And snooze is the perfect example of your brain overestimating the reward that I think most of us can relate to. In the moment, doesn't your brain say, like, I'd give anything for 5 more minutes of sleep? But what's really happening, aside from that story of like, it would be glorious to stay in my warm bed, what's actually happening is your brain's already going, right? You're awake. Your brain's already spinning. You're kind of checking the time. You're thinking about what you need to do. You're doing mental math of like when you really have to get up and all the things you're going to need to do and in what order to make sure that you get where you need to be when you. It is not relaxing. You know, you're also trying to go back to sleep before the alarm goes off again, but you're not getting in deep sleep. You're getting that rest-ish, but angst-ish, no rest that restores you, right? Your brain is fully on, even if you're not feet on the floor doing stuff. So the reward you think you're getting is not the reward you're actually getting. It's not rest, it's delay, it's avoid, it's I don't want to start. It's a teeny pocket of false relief. And while that is all happening, your brain is shrinking the consequence. It's 5 more minutes. But snooze is not 5 minutes, right? Even if it is literally 5 minutes snooze and you're up, it's not just about 5 minutes. It's about starting your day with a broken promise, starting your day maybe not the way that you wanted to, or feeling a little bit rushed, or something needs to get cut out. And more often than not, it's literally not 5 minutes, because maybe your snooze is 12 minutes and maybe one snooze becomes 3. And then you're rushing and you're behind and you're irritated, all of which could have been avoided. You're skipping the thing you said you would do that morning, and you're starting the day not from a great place, with this low-grade feeling of, And the cost is not just time. Part of the cost that your brain is underestimating is what you train. Because every time you hit snooze, you're practicing, when it's time to follow through, I negotiate. It's not really a commitment. There's other options. And that is what doesn't get enough airtime. The cost of our patterns, the cost of what message is to our brain that everything is negotiable and our commitments aren't real commitments. And it's just kind of based on how we feel when the time comes to follow through. That cost is huge, but your brain's like, it's just 5 minutes. No, it's not. It's not. I have so much, we'll get to some more examples, but I think the question is like, okay, so how do we fix it? How do we stop the brain from inflating the reward? How do we stop our brain from shrinking the consequence? Because it's not willpower. As silly as this sounds, you tell the truth. You right size them. You right size them. You first are moving in the right direction when you know the reward is not as good as I think it's going to be. And when you know the consequence is a lot more than what I'm telling myself it is. So as I'm recording this right now, Cape Cod, where I live, coastal Massachusetts, got wrecked by a blizzard. I think it's probably like the biggest snowstorm that I've lived through. Maybe I'm wrong and I just don't remember something that happened when I was 7, but it was a doozy. And my in-laws ended up staying at our house for a couple of days because we got power back before they did, and we have a gas stove so we could still cook while theirs is electric. And today, my mother-in-law baked cookies with my kids, as she often does. But of course, it's usually at her house and I'm not there because my husband takes them over while I'm working. But it was at my house and I was there. And what a wonderful example it was of how the brain inflates the size of the reward. And what a perfect example it was of how the brain shrinks the size of the consequence. Because in my head, I was like, oh my gosh, those look so good. That would be amazing. Like just sit here and have a couple cookies, and that they were average at best. And that's no shade at my mother-in-law. I think my brown sugar was dry, and we're using a type of flour that's probably not best for cookies, and she doesn't put salt in her cookies, and I like salt. Anyway, no shade on my mother-in-law. She makes great cookies, but I think she would agree. They were just meh. And yet my brain is like, cookies. But if you were to say to me, okay, scale of 1 to 10, Elizabeth, this cookie and the best cookie you've ever had, I would say it was like a 2. And again, I don't think my mother-in-law listens, but if she does, Diane, I love you. You make great cookies. It's no shade. I'm literally like red right now that she's going to be offended. I don't think she is. And if she is, she knows I love her. She probably didn't really like them either. And that's a function of my ingredients. Anyway, not about embarrassing myself to my mom, my mother-in-law. It's just wild how the brain wants to paint it as the best thing ever. Well, objectively, I can be like, okay, best cookie I've ever had compared to this. This was a 2. It's not worth it. But then on the other side, it's like the consequence. No big deal. You've been really good. You've eaten clean today. You shoveled. You were active. You didn't really have that much to eat. It's no big deal. It's 2 small cookies. These are really pretty small. You're not going to have cookies tomorrow. You don't have cookies every day. My brain is like in every possible way shrinking the size of the consequence. But here's the deal that your brain wants to leave out. It's not about the freaking cookies, and it's not about the 5 minutes, and it's not about the missed workout as much as it is about the cost of the pattern. The cost of the pattern that I can justify anything anytime. It's a snowstorm. Have a margarita. It's no big deal. You're home. You're snowed in. It's been stressful. Kids driving you crazy. Or like, it's not a big deal if I skip the workout today. I did. I shoveled. I've been pretty active, and, I'll work out tomorrow. Your brain in every way goes, nothing to see here. So we first have to acknowledge that this is happening. I want to tell you a little bit about when I was a major binge eater. For those of you who have been around for a while, I used to weigh over 350 pounds. And I'm not 7 feet tall. If I was 7 feet tall, like maybe that would seem a little okay. I'm 5'5". So that's, excessively obese. I looked forward to a binge in such a big way. And I think part of it was a compensatory response to over restricting. And if I'm going to be bad, then I'm going to be real bad. But when I look at the stuff that I would binge on and get excited about, I'm like, that's not even that good or good at all. Routinely, it would be something like, I'd be like, okay, well, if I'm going to have something chocolatey, then I want something that's not chocolatey, because if I'm going to have it, I might as well have it. And I don't want to like not have it. And then I struggle to get back on tomorrow because I didn't have that other thing. So I need to have all the things so that I don't want all the things tomorrow. And just that delusional logic. And if you've never binged, then you think I'm a crazy person, and you're probably right. Anyway, when I look at Twizzlers or freaking Hostess cupcakes, it tastes more like chemicals than they taste like cupcakes. Things that I would eat that like, I wouldn't, if I could have any treat in the world, it would never be that. So why am I making this out to be, gelato from Italy or pizza from my favorite pizza place, like stuff that I would say is worth it. It was never worth it. But my brain would be like, oh, it's going to be a thing. And there would be so much positive anticipation. And then at the same time, my brain's like, you're going to get back on track tomorrow. right? What's one day? You've been really good. And you're going to be super strict starting tomorrow. So you can undo this in like, a couple of days. No big deal. A little bit of water weight, no problem. Work out extra hard tomorrow. Get that sugar out of the muscles. Like crazy stuff. Our brain is always doing that. It's doing that when you want to dismiss something on your task list, when you want to skip a workout, when you want to eat something you said you wouldn't eat, when you want to say something you said you wouldn't say, when you want to behave in a way that you said you wouldn't behave, when you want to spend in a way that you said you wouldn't spend. Two things are happening. Your brain is inflating the cost of the experience of the reward and shrinking the consequence, right? With snooze, the promise is you're going to feel better. You're going to be more rested. You're going to feel like you got a little break. You need this sleep. Sleep is important. Sleep is really important. So this is actually a healthy thing that I'm doing. We have to tell the truth about the size of the reward. And the thing is, what I want you to hear is that we have enough experience to do this. I have enough experience to know that when I hit snooze to get X many minutes more of broken sleep with my brain kind of racing in the background and trying to do mental math, I know that I'm not more rested. I'm not more rested on the days I hit snooze 3 times than on the days that I don't. In fact, on the days when I get up, I'm more energized and more positive, and I'm in a better mood, and the whole day feels better because I got to jump in the way that I said that I would. And similarly, when my brain says, like, it's no big deal, you can do it later, I know it actually is a big deal because I have enough experience in getting up and doing the thing to know that that's worth it. If I go to the cookie example, I have enough experience eating something just because it's there and it looks good to know that I never 3 hours later, I'm like, such a good choice. I'm so glad I did that. I'm in such a great mood because I had those cookies that weren't even that good. Never. And when I don't do it and I go to bed and I've had a great day of making good choices and I wake up in the morning feeling proud of the night before, that feels so much better than any cookie, even a great cookie, could ever feel. Sometimes we look at our experience with disdain, with frustration, with resistance and resentment, like, ugh, I feel that way even now, looking at my binge eating behavior like it's disgusting and embarrassing and shameful. And also, what is also true that gets so frequently missed is what a damn gold mine of data that I can use and leverage and benefit from in real time in my real life now, so that when I think to myself, I'm just going to eat those cookies because they look so good, I have so much experience with making that choice to know that the reward is not what my brain wants me to think that it is. And the cost is also not what my brain wants me to think that it is. It's much greater and the reward much smaller. Now, telling the truth is going to be a different process for different people, and some people are going to struggle with it more than others. This is something that when we're in defense, we can kind of dig in together. Like some people will say, I don't really know the truth about the consequences. You do, but you're saying you don't know because maybe you aren't sure and you're confusing certainty with what is being asked of you, right? Like sometimes people will say they're not sure just because they're not certain. Like, is this it? I'm not really sure, so therefore I don't know. We have to be able to brainstorm and ideate without certainty. Otherwise, we'll always feel like we're stuck because we're going to stand on the sideline of being like, I'm not sure. You don't have to be sure. You don't have to be sure to play this game. You don't have to be sure to do anything, really. So it looks different for everybody. Other people are so locked in to the perceived payoff that they almost are blind to the consequence, or at least partially blind. I think my husband is 80% blind to messes. I don't know if you have a husband who has that affliction as well, but it's there and I can see it, but he doesn't see it. And I'll be like, that right there. And he's like, what? I'm like, this, all of this right here. What's the problem? I experience this with him all the time in the yard because he has a million projects and they don't always get cleaned up after. And I'll be like, can you pick up the yard? What do you want me to pick up? All the stuff? What stuff? And I think a lot of us are like that when we start to talk about the negative consequences of our decisions when we think we're just saying yes to something that is pleasurable, whether that's 3 hours of Netflix, or it's scrolling, or it's the snooze button, or it's the dessert, or it's the wine, or it's the shoes that aren't in the budget. And we're so focused on how good that feels that we almost like don't wanna talk ourselves out of it. And so we'll say we don't know the downside, but it's really that we're just like not wanting to let go of the upside. And this is what I would say. A lot of people don't want to play this game and do this work because they think that it means being an absolutist. They think that it means you can never have cookies. They think that it means you can never sleep in. They think that it means you can never watch Netflix. And it doesn't at all. One of my responses to the desire to indulge is like, absolutely, it's just going to be intentional, not impulsive. And I wasn't planning for my kids to make cookies today. And so I'm not going to have a cookie today because I just don't want to make impulsive sugar decisions. I want to make intentional sugar decisions because I've lived the life of impulsive sugar decisions and it kind of really sucks. And I don't want to go back there. So that's a no for me. So many people don't want to get honest about the expense of their negotiation with themselves and of avoiding follow through because they think that it means, well, then I'd have to always get up with my alarm. No, you could start with saying on Mondays, I get up with my alarm. And on every other day, I can hit snooze as many times as I want. Right? There's so many shades of gray. And this is the kind of personalization that we do inside of working together in a container because it does look different for everybody. But we have to force accuracy if we want our brains to stop being effective in selling us a fantasy, because that's what they're doing. That's what they're doing. When you're like, glass of wine, your brain is trying to sell you a fantasy. The story that is talking you into the wine is not fully true. There's more inflation and deflation than there is truth. Right? And that's true whether it's wine or it's snooze or it's ice cream or it's shopping. Now, we can also just have like a one sentence reframe. Okay, what am I calling this and what is it really? Like, I'm calling this rest, but what is it really? It's procrastination that makes later harder. What am I calling this? I'm calling this a treat, but it's actually a negotiation that I'm going to regret later. What am I calling this and what is it really? That sort of shrinks the distortion and eliminates the story part of it. Well, I'm so stressed and I'm having a bad day. Like, no. What am I calling this and what is it really? How is the reward being inflated and how is the cost being underestimated? These timeline distortions are a massive barrier to change. And it's something that a lot of people never really consider. And knowing it is a critical first step. But stepping in and breaking the pattern is the only way that change happens. You can be aware of it like, oh yeah, I do that too. I tell myself that the binge is amazing, but I know that it's not. Hey, knowing it is an important first step, but it changes nothing. We have to step in and be engaged in those moments to tell a more honest story. And as much as I wish I could say like, and this is the way that you do that, it's going to be different for everybody. And you can troubleshoot and trial and error on your own and be very successful. But I also think that's where it helps to have a process and a framework and a mentor or a support person helping you through that. It is something we do in Defense Foundations. So that April scholarship opportunity is open now, even though I know we're just early in March. I decided I wanted to do it again in April because there was such a huge response to it in March. And so maybe you were one of the people that didn't get a scholarship or got one but couldn't take advantage of it. Complete it for April because it's a first come, first served thing. I will put that link in the show description. In the meantime, really think about this, right? Because once you can see the distortion, you're in a stronger place of action, right? And the thing stops looking as good as your brain told you it was, and the cost stops looking as harmless as your brain told you that it was. I hope that everybody will take a moment to check out that scholarship and readiness application link. There's no cost to complete a scholarship application. You will hear from me. Chances are most of you will hear from me with a voice note, and you'll get something of value of that regardless. But I'm excited about this. I'm excited to connect with you through that application. I'm excited to work with you. I'm excited to break these damn chains because 2026. Can we just have it be the year that the struggle doesn't follow us into 2027, that the struggle doesn't follow us into the second half of 2026? If you're with me on that, let's go. Can we? Let's go. Because I know firsthand how much it sucks to carry the same problem month after month, month after month, year after year,